Chairman and Ranking Member, appreciate the time. And I'd also like to thank you, Dr. Stanley, because I think that, the incredibly important feedback Americans for Financial Reform provides this committee is helpful.
Thank you.
I also want to say publicly that your colleagues and your partners have been reliable and responsive to legislation, hearings, topics that would help and weaken consumer protection and investor protections. And I'm glad to be able to benefit from the work that you all do by knowing a little bit more and being a little more informed. And the Americans for Financial Reform budget is tiny, particularly compared to other players in this space. But you all still, show up every day and try to look out for the consumer. And I just wanted to say publicly that I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I wonder if you would offer your views on a New York Times editorial from yesterday entitled "The Title Insurance Scam." I don't know if you saw this article. It's actually not really fair for me to spring it on you, but I know you review the literature, and so I wonder, did you have a chance to see this particular article?
I did see it, yes.
I wonder if you wouldn't mind just offering your candid views on how title insurance is routinely handled.
Well, I think that editorial was citing new evidence from New York that frankly adds to a mountain of evidence that title insurance, particularly affiliated title insurance, is a broken market. That it's marked by kickbacks between the lender and the title insurer. That consumers don't and often aren't able to shop around for less expensive title insurance, so they are exploited through title insurance that's massively overpriced and that charges excessive fees. And I think that this really underlines the importance of controls on title insurance and not making exemptions for title insurance in the legislation, in the consumer protections that we have.
Well, thank you. I mean, before Dodd-Frank, and I know we're talking about Dodd-Frank around here quite a bit, what we saw quite a bit is predatory lending. We saw securitization. We saw a lot of problems in the consumer market. And I just hope that some of our critique of Dodd-Frank keeps in mind what Dodd-Frank was passed to try to fix. We now have a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau taking steps to lower costs, provide access to high-quality mortgages, and ensure that home buyers get early notice of their actual closing costs. And yet I'm sure you're aware, and many people in this room are aware, that Congress voted to weaken those protections recently, and most recently to enable steering to affiliated title insurance firms to higher cost manufactured home loans. And so that's a concern of mine. Let me ask you this, Dr. Stanley. Are you concerned that if we do not try to step into the affiliated title space, that consumers could be and home buyers could be hurt?
Yeah, as I said, the New York Times editorial highlighted evidence of precisely that kind of harm that came out of New York State. There's been the GAO has highlighted some of the same issues at a national level. I think the cap on points and fees that was associated with the qualified mortgage rule would have done a great deal and should do a great deal to protect consumers from this kind of exploitation. But if we put in exemptions for some of the most problematic areas, such as title insurance, it's going to lose its effectiveness.
I only got a little while, so I just want to ask you a question. I have a bill out there called the Insure Fair Prices in Title Insurance Act. It's H.R. 1799. Have you had a chance to review it?
I regret to say I have not had the chance to review that bill, but some of my colleagues in AFR may have.
Okay. Well, no problem. I'm not going to ask you to offer an opinion on. And by the way, I wouldn't be sensitive if you didn't like it, but if you knew anything about it, I thought I'd ask. And with my last moments, can you offer your views on some of the investor protections put in place by Dodd-Frank?
Yeah, well, I think the registration of private equity and hedge funds, which creates a fiduciary duty, we saw when the SEC did a follow-up investigation based on that, they found violations at up to 50% of private equity funds. I think there are other protections in the securities markets in terms of asset-backed securities and the underlying data there that are valuable, though I think they could be
Dr.
better
Stanley, I
implemented.
think that little click noise means
Yeah.
that I'm way out of time. So I do want to thank you again and thank the chair.
The gentleman yields back.